Hello and welcome to episode 363 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. I'm Ben Olson, that's Nathan Fox. Together we're the co-founders of LSATdemon.com and the LSAT Demon Daily podcast. If you're a first day listener and this is Monday, August 15th, you can get on our next show by emailing us today. We record every Tuesday. That's help@thinkinglsat.com. The next registration deadline for the LSAT is Thursday, September 1st. That's for the October 2022 LSAT. You can find all these dates and registration dates at lsat.link/dates. If you have not come to Nathan's free shit, you should. It's every other Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. The next one is Thursday, August 25th. It's going to be accuracy versus speed. Learn why accuracy beats speed every time at every level. You can sign up for that class by going to lsat.link/Nathan. Anything you want to say about that class?
No, I'm going to talk through a hypothetical Mr. Speed versus Ms. Accuracy. And it turns out Ms. Accuracy kicks Mr. Speed's ass every single time at every level of LSAT performance. So low scorers, middle scorers, high scorers, everybody needs to be accurate, not fast.
Great.
It'll be a good class.
Cool. On today's episode, we talked about how to get rid of anxious thoughts. We talked about how much people are watching TV. And then we just, and the score preview change, right? And how that does not matter. Do not worry about score preview. And then a bunch of other emails, just a mailbag of questions.
Yeah.
Anything stick out to you?
The score preview thing was the big news from the show. Don't do score preview. If you're on the fence about it, don't do it. Just don't take the test. If you're really on the fence about it that much, you're probably not ready to take the test. Thinking that score preview magically makes it okay for you to take the test, that's real bad. That means you're not happy with your range of practice test scores. You're probably not going to go in there with a good attitude. You're not going to go in there with the right mindset for the test day. And this extra money that you're going to pay for score preview doesn't put you in any better position to answer the questions correctly. So I think it's just a waste of money, and I really don't recommend you do it.
Right. On to the show. Well, let's jump into this first thing here. I added it. It's anxious thoughts.
Before we even get there, I want to talk about publishing industry connections. So we will get to the anxious thoughts thing, but before that, I put it in bold so you didn't see it.
That's exactly right.
Funny how that happens. We are looking to publish a book. We are writing a book. It's called The LSAT is Easy. We have the capacity to just self-publish it if we want, but we wanted to try to go the traditional publishing route this time. If you happen to know an agent or somebody in the publishing industry, specifically somebody who works with test prep, it's a narrow niche, so it might be kind of hard to find the right person. But if you've got somebody that you think might be able to help us, we have a book proposal ready, sample chapters and everything. We just need to know who the right people are to send that to. You can email help@thinkinglsat.com if you have any kind of a connection in the publishing industry. Thank you very much. All right, Ben, let's talk about anxious thoughts.
Yeah, so I was listening to something, I can't remember what exactly, but the person was talking about anxious thoughts, and I thought, okay, this applies to the LSAT. There are so many people who are taking the test and have anxious thoughts. The comment that really caught my attention were really two comments. The person said, what good are these thoughts doing for you? What good are they, right? How are they helping you? And the obvious answer to that question is they're not. And then this person said, get in the habit of switching them off until it becomes natural. And the idea is when these thoughts come, instead of reacting to them and maybe speeding up or whatever it is that these anxious thoughts cause you to do, just deliberately say, nope, I'm not listening to that. Instead, I'm going to go back to doing whatever it is I'm doing right now in this moment during this section. So reading this sentence, reading this question, reading this answer choice, whatever it is you're doing, or maybe pausing and thinking about the question. But this idea of stop, just switch it off and go back to what you're doing is what I wanted people to hear. And so I don't know what kind of anxious thoughts people are having, but over the years, it seems like we've heard things like, I'm not going to finish this section, right? So then that makes people speed up. I'm not going to do as well as my last practice test. I'm not going to do as well as I did on my last official LSAT.
I've been hearing both of those this week, so I added them to your list here. We got the August LSAT coming up.
Yep. Yep.
By the time you hear this, probably you already took the August LSAT if you were going to take it. But so many people writing in like, I'm stressed out that I'm not going to do as well as I did. And it's like, okay, but that's not helpful.
Yeah.
What else is on the list?
Okay. I've got to hurry. I've got to get through this section. I can only get 3 questions wrong to get my goal score.
That's
right? People have these numbers that they...
People get done with the test and they immediately email me about canceling. And they're like, well, I know for sure that there's 5 that I missed. And then there's another 3. It's like, wait, what? What do you mean you know for sure that there's 5 that you missed? Didn't you get as close as you could to answering that question? And you did select an answer, right? Okay, well, then you don't know for sure that you missed it.
And you even if you didn't get to it,
you guessed on it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the counting up as you go, that's a real bad plan. Boy, you're just not focusing on the task at hand. You're not focusing on the question in front of you if you're doing that shit.
Yep. That's the only thing you have to focus on. And these other thoughts may come in, but you have to get in the habit of shutting them off and saying, it doesn't matter. How are they going to help me? They're not going to help you.
Well, so shutting them off, I mean, I think from like a mindfulness perspective, we might not try to encourage people to shut it off. Rather, we would encourage them to notice it and then let it go. You know what I mean? Like not a keeping out, because then you can get stressed out about, I can't stop these anxious thoughts.
Well, possibly. Yeah. I mean, I've heard that idea before. I think I've even said it, but I guess what I like about it is maybe by shutting off, I mean, redirecting your focus to what you're doing, because thoughts are just thoughts. And ultimately what you're doing is what matters. And so, yeah, maybe the wording isn't the best, but this thought comes and it's just ignore it, redirect your focus.
Yeah. I would rather say, let it pass, get back to work, like take a breath, recenter yourself, focus on the task at hand. But you're not going to stop. I don't think you're going to stop some portions of your mind from peeling off into these other tasks that are not related to helping you. I think the key is to notice it when it happens. Instead of getting carried away by those thoughts, you take it back to, wait a second. Who gives a shit about the total number of questions? What? I'm doing one question. I'm reading one sentence.
Yep.
And so it's not falling off the wagon. It's more like getting back on the wagon.
Absolutely. It's redirecting, right? These thoughts may come back. I guess the thing I want people to do is recognize the power in refocusing on the question at hand, because the instant you do that, that thought also goes away, because you can only think about one thing at a time. So you may have that thought, and the key here is to not entertain it, not give into it. Just say, okay, oh, great, you had a thought. We all have thoughts.
Yep.
These are thoughts, and a lot of them are stupid. And these in particular are unhelpful and thus stupid. And so it's okay that you're having them. We all do. But just come back to the passage. Come back to the passage. Come back to the passage.
I like that. Notice it. Acknowledge it. It's like accept it. It's okay.
And acknowledge its stupidity, right? Because it's people giving them value and credence and belief that changes their behavior.
Hey, I'm standing over a 3-foot putt, I should make that most of the time, but I am going to miss it some of the time.
Yep.
I have to kind of accept that. I have to be like, well, yeah, you are going to fuck it up sometimes. But standing there going, oh, it's going to be so embarrassing if I miss this. I don't really think I can prevent that thought from coming in. I think it's more like I can let it come in and go, there's that dumb shit again.
Yep.
Let it go, take a breath, hit the putt, accept the outcome.
And
in or
refocus on
out.
what you're doing, right? Refocus
Yeah.
on however it is that you best set up for that putt, because that is what's going to help you. That's actually
Exactly.
useful.
Yeah. Get back to the work at hand. I like that. Okay.
Yep. So here's some more. I got to get to the last game. People say that all the time. Again, not helpful.
Well, it's not your business.
Yeah.
Your business is the game you're on.
Yep.
So yeah, there are further games, and yeah, you would like to get those points, but you're not working on those points right now. You're working on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first game should be easy.
I mean, we should presume that most of the LSAT is easy.
Yeah.
But when it's not, like I've been playing so much golf lately, so I got nothing but golf analogies. But, it's like, yes,
Sure.
I should make par or birdie on this easy par 5.
Yeah.
But I hit a sideways shot. I'm like, fuck now. Okay, so what are you going to do? Are you going to like just, oh, I should make birdie though, so I'm going to try some ridiculous shot that I can't make?
Yeah.
Or am I going to like punch it out and get it back in play and try to make a par or maybe a bogey, like damage control, just sort of like do your best on the shot in front of you, not the like, well, but I've already fucked it up now. It's like, okay, well, then just quit, like go home.
Yeah.
I
hate reading comp, period. Some people go into sections such as reading comp, hating it. It's like, okay, so what? Just do the sentence in front of you. I hate science passages. I hate formal logic. I don't remember how to do necessary assumption questions.
Yeah, that's a good one, because we do talk about question types, and question types matter. They can be really helpful and important to know. But also the words on the page ask you a question that you can answer. Just, like some people totally crush the LSAT with no prep at all.
Yep.
So
they don't know
whether
the term necessary assumption question.
No, they just say which one
question
is an assumption that the argument requires. And they go, oh, okay, so one of these is required by, one of these has to be true according to the argument. Okay, well, that one, and get it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parallel reasoning questions are so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Are they?
Also, they're not. I mean, for some students, they're the easiest type.
Yep. What if the proctor interrupts me?
That's a great one, especially in the age of, the online LSAT and people freaking out about Proctor U.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of those stories, but the people who don't have stories to tell don't tell any stories. And so you don't hear all of the good news, which is the vast majority of people take it without a hitch at all.
Yeah. And even if, what is that thought going to do for you? Just if the proctor interrupts, say, what do you need? Got it. Thanks. Going back to my test. Right.
Yeah.
Always coming back.
About bad things before they even happen. Yeah. That's crazy.
I have to do well on the next official test because I need to apply this fall.
Yeah, that's terrible. If you really want to drink our Kool-Aid, you've got to just give up on the idea of any particular application cycle. We want you to go for free. And you having any particular cycle in mind does not help you go for free.
Nope. You got your whole life ahead of you.
Yeah. Okay.
My parents want me to stop preparing and just take it.
Yeah. Are your parents paying? I mean, do they know anything? They want the best for you, but they don't know what's best for you necessarily.
Yeah.
So have them listen to some of our podcasts or something. We still need to do that episode, Ben, that's like just for parents.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody should email us, help@thinkinglsat.com, and tell us stupid shit your parents say. And then we'll put a whole agenda together of
responding to each one
to your parents' dumb things that they say about law school.
They love you. They just are uninformed. That's all.
Well, and how could they be informed? I mean, even if they did go to law school, they probably went to law school 40 years ago. So they don't know the game.
Nope.
They went to law school when tuitions were 5 or 10% as high as they are now. And when the scholarship game wasn't as fucked up as it is. And
the test wasn't what it was.
Yeah, they right, exactly. Like I've had people I've had parents of kids call me and tell me about how they did really well on some particular aspect of the test. And I'm like, on what? Like, huh? What? They're telling me about, I don't know if it's like analogies or some shit that's like, what? There's that's not on the LSAT. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Um,
and
changes
your
over
point
time.
is,
Yeah.
my friend's sister just got a 174.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Good for her.
Doesn't affect you at all. A bunch of other people just got a 182. Doesn't matter. What matters is right in front of you.
Yeah. They also got a fucking jet ski and like, who cares?
Yeah.
What? It's not related to answering the one question that's in front of you. So these thoughts they're going to come. You can't stop them. But I would just say redirect.
Get back to the task at hand.
Yeah.
And I think it can become a habit to the point where the thoughts also give up. Some of these thoughts go away. There are tons of people who take the test and have none of these anxieties, because you also have the opposite outcome. When you focus on the questions and you get them right, then you start to believe that you can get them right. And then you keep doing that over and over and over again. We hear it all the time in class from people who used to rush, then they started doing what we said, then they started acing all the questions they got. They're now getting 20 questions out of 26 correct, but they're only attempting 20 or 21 of them. And they're just waiting as they practice for that number to go up. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They can see how to do it. And those people aren't dealing with these thoughts because now their brain is producing a bunch of other thoughts. Slow down. This works. Focus. This works. You know it's going to work. The best way to get this answer right is to do nothing but think about this question right in front of you.
It's a reading comprehension test.
Yep.
Are you understanding what you're reading, or are you spacing out and just letting your mind wander into all of these other areas? Lawyers are exceptionally hard workers. I mean, they're testing your ability to focus and your ability to just really decide that you're going to understand what you read, no matter how boring it may seem.
Yep.
By the way, it's not boring if you understand it. It's really boring if you don't understand it. Like, imagine looking at a book if you're illiterate. What is this piece of trash? But, when you're engaged, when you understand what they're asking you, then it becomes a fun, easy puzzle to solve. All right, what's this thing about Netflix?
Yeah, so this is another thing I was hearing. This is a pretty old article. Had you heard this before? The Netflix CEO was being asked about his competitors, and he didn't say that his number one competitor was Amazon or Hulu or any of those other streaming services. He said that his number one competitor was sleep. That they were trying to get people to watch more Netflix, but they were running up against sleep.
Because people were watching so much.
Yeah. They were getting
It says
tired.
here that on average, 70% of Americans watch an average of 5 episodes per sitting.
That's insane.
I have binge watched things. I have watched 5 episodes of shows before. God, I hope these are like 20-minute episodes.
Yeah.
If they're short, if we're talking about a half-hour comedy or something, and you're just binging through, I guess that makes more sense, or cartoons or something. But 5 episodes of, The Sopranos is going to take you 5 hours. That's a lot of TV.
Yep.
I've talked about this on the podcast a lot before. I was just down in Santa Barbara, hanging out with some buddies, and I got a buddy down there who his first move in any room is to turn on the television. It's just like kind of as he's getting ready to go play golf, or he's getting home from playing golf, or he's in a hotel room on check-in, or get up in the morning and go, turn the shower on, but he's turning the TV on at the same time. It's just like the TV is always on.
Interesting.
And, we were talking about this, the focus and the anxious thoughts and that kind of stuff earlier. I wonder if there's like a correlation between those things, because I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time in silence. Like if I'm driving, I listen to music or podcasts or sometimes nothing. And when I'm around the house, it's music or a lot of times nothing.
Yeah. No,
And it's just
absolutely. I run
like,
and sometimes I listen to music. Sometimes I listen to an audiobook and sometimes it's just like, no, let's just run.
let's
And
just run and breathe
yeah.
and like think and not, God, just have your brain continuously peppered with uninvited. I mean, you're inviting it. You're the one who turns it on, but geez, like that's just not, it's just voices in your head. I don't know. People like the company, I guess, but I'm happy. I'm happy with my solitude. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, I guess I have a few reasons for sharing this. One is I want people to be aware of how these companies look at you.
Yeah.
Right? If you're aware of that, maybe this is another thing he said. He said, you get a show or a movie you're really dying to watch and you end up staying up late at night. So we actually compete with sleep. And then later he said, and we're winning. So if you recognize that, you recognize what Netflix is doing with you, maybe you'll be less inclined to give in to that temptation. Because, some of these shows are tempting and they're nice. And then you wake up the next morning and you're like, why'd I stay up so late watching that? Well, someone deliberately tried to get you to do that and they won. Are you going to let them do that again and again and again? And is that hurting your LSAT prep?
And it could
we
have
don't
been
want to compete with
girlfriend, roommate, buddies, co-office workers, oh, did you watch The Bachelor, Bachelorette? And you have to watch it so that you can talk to them at work the next day. I don't know, man. Like when people say they don't have enough time for LSAT prep, maybe I'll start responding sometimes. Just like, how much TV do you watch?
Yeah.
Seen anything good lately?
Yeah.
Because most people do watch a lot of television.
And it's a big shift, because when we, before we could binge watch things on Netflix, it was, you would turn on the TV and there was what was on. And then you're trying to find, even cable, you're trying to find something that interests you and then nothing really interests you. So it wasn't as tempting. Now you can get exactly what you want when you want it. And then you can get the next episode right away. That just wasn't a thing.
But honestly, some people don't even give a shit. I mean, some people just channel surf or turn on Netflix and just shop on Netflix for an hour without actually watching anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or they just turn on ABC and just leave it on 24 hours a day.
I don't understand that. What is the point?
I don't know.
Huh.
Company, I guess. It's bad though. And do not let it compete with your sleep. I think watching TV in bed is a really bad habit. It keeps people up real late.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage you to read in bed. I mean, reading is better and it'll probably eventually, you'll have a hard time keeping your eyes open and then you can just go to sleep.
Yep.
Falling asleep with the TV on is, man, it's voices in your head. I don't think that's good.
Nope. This next one's from Preview.
Says, hey guys, I just got off the phone with LSAT customer service after noticing the change in policy on their website. Maybe we should have led with this, Ben. LSAT score preview is now available to all test takers, not just first timers. You can purchase score preview for all of your tests. So it looks like it's $45. Anyway, I'll read this email. I know your basic advice has been that score preview in its original form was a waste of money because a bad score and a cancel look the same. But with this new global policy, does your opinion change? For example, someone could register for the next 3 tests, purchase score preview for each, and only keep their highest score, therefore never be in a position of having a high score followed by a lower score. Well, the problem, you actually can't do that because you have to take it once, look at your score, decide to keep it.
You can't.
Yes or no.
Go back and retroactively remove previous scores after you see your second and third scores.
You know, if everyone would just realize that law schools only care about your highest score, then you would realize that score preview is a complete fucking waste.
It's interesting too, because it costs money. So who does this help?
One, people love paying for shit. Two, well, it helps LSAC.
Helps LSAC. I don't
Because
know
they
that it
get
helps
money.
rich people, but it certainly, if this eases anxiety, right? Basically, if you have money, you can pay for this. And if you don't, then thank God it doesn't matter. But
Rich people love paying for things. I mean, it's like I was just reading a thing about mega yachts in the New Yorker, and it's like people who have money like to spend money. So there's, well, what are you going to do with money when you have too much of it?
yeah.
So this is a way that you can pay LSAC more. It's positioned as like, oh, we're doing this for equality and just, fairness or whatever.
How wait, how is it being pitched as equality and fairness?
Oh, they just, because people have asked us, this is what they want. It's more, it's more equal and fair. It shouldn't just be for first time test takers.
Oh,
It should be for
okay,
all
there.
test takers.
Now you can just pay a lot more for the LSAT than you did
For every
before.
test. Yeah. I don't know. It's a way of price discrimination for sure. I mean, it is a way of letting people who want to pay more. Economists would love this idea. It's beautiful. I mean, give people a higher option is a good strategy for business.
Yeah. They're probably making money off of this for the first timers and realize they can make more if they just
Oh shit,
extended
yeah.
it.
And it's money that requires them to do nothing. I mean, it's going to be automated. They're going to email you out your score. You have to decide, choose it or cancel it. They do nothing. You pay $45 more.
Is it 75 after the fact?
75 after you register, 45 when you register, and 75 if you've already
After
registered.
the test day. I'm sorry, after you take the test or something. Remember
Oh
how
shit. So you can actually take the test, think, oh, I didn't do as well as I hoped. Let me pay $75 extra for score preview.
That's what it was before, at least. Yeah, there was 2 tiers. Yeah, oh wait, here it is. Score preview. I'm on the website. Score preview costs $45 if you purchase it prior to the first day of testing for a given test administration, or $75 for those who purchase the option during a specified period after their test administration.
Come on, man. So it's like they're going to gouge you for even more if you're doing it in a moment of post-test anxiety.
Which is going to happen a lot. A lot of
If
people
you
are going
pay-
to rationally say no to this and then irrationally say yes.
If you're
after
doing
the
it because
test.
of pre-test anxiety, it costs $45. If you're doing it because of post-test anxiety, it costs $75.
Okay.
I don't think this is good. I don't think they should have it at all. I think it's bad. I think it's just bad. I think everybody needs to realize that unless you're talking about Canadian law students, and even there are law schools that only care about your highest score. Some of them average. If you're applying to schools that average, then I can see some case for score preview. But if you're going to schools in the US that only care about your highest score, I mean, they're going to admit you and give you scholarships because of your highest score, then score preview is dumb. I don't care. It's dumb the first time. It's dumber the second or third time. I mean, hey, look, don't take the test until your practice tests indicate that you're ready to take the test.
Yeah, and then take the test and do the best you can. There you go.
And then accept it. Like, you're gonna miss the 3-foot putt sometimes. Who cares? It's like you get 5 chances at that 3-footer, and only if you make it does it even count. I mean, if you miss it all 5 times, you're fucked anyway.
Yep.
Right? Like, you have to get a score on record at some point. So I don't see how score preview benefits anybody. I mean, I guess maybe it alleviates some anxiety for some people, but I don't think it should. Like, rationally, it should not, but it does. But that's just because people misunderstand. Yeah. So if you don't understand what it means when we say law schools only care about your highest score, like if you don't understand that, then maybe score preview is a good investment for you. But if you understand
only psychologically, though, not in reality.
No, but a psychological benefit can be a real benefit.
Sure.
So, if I don't know, it seems a lot cheaper to just really wrap your mind around the idea that schools only care about the highest one.
Mm-hmm. Cheaper and more effective, because then you can that can lead to other behaviors, not just avoiding score preview, but also taking the test multiple times. Whereas some people are, committed to 1 or 2 times only because they don't want to be seen as taking it too many times. And it's like, okay, well, that's another false belief.
Yeah. They say, what's the downside besides the $45 surcharge? Yeah, no, the downside is the $45 surcharge. So
So
if you
don't
just
care
don't
about
give a
that,
shit
yeah.
and want to pay $45 extra for every test, then go right ahead. How many LSATs are administered every year?
I think there's, by the way, 9, 10?
No, total tests administered per per student. Like how many student tests are taken?
Oh, I don't know. 120,000.
Let's say 100,000. So if
Okay.
10% of the people bought score preview, that's 450 grand. I mean, it's a good business move for them. I don't think that it's sensible for students to buy.
What percentage did you estimate? 10% bought it?
Say 10% buy it.
Oh, I bet it's way higher. Score
Okay.
preview.
I was being conservative.
Yeah, fair
to
enough.
get to my
Fair enough. I just
$450,000.
thinking think about the number of people who are going to buy it at $75 who are like, oh,
Right.
and then buy it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll say they're making between $500,000 and $1 million or more off of this.
Yeah.
They're doing it by popular demand, though. People asked for it. So there it is. I just don't think you should buy it. All right. Want to read this one from Adriana?
Yeah. I've had an LSAT Demon Premium account now for only about a week. However, I've been listening to your podcast for over a year now. I've tried several different online courses as well as LSAT books, but your course has blown me away so far. Cool. That's great to hear. It has been a struggle to stay motivated and on track a lot of times. I scored a 140 diagnostic in February and finally broke the 150s a few weeks ago. My goal is to break into the 160s, and I feel empowered to do so with my Demon account. I shit you not. Tonight, my Demon account made me cry. I did not know that the website will stop and ask you to take a break and meditate after so much time has gone by drilling. I clicked on the 5-minute option and then heard you talking, guiding me through it. I know that this is so small, but I have been super overwhelmed lately, and being told, hey, you should take a break was helpful. Within the last 3 years, I'm medically retired from the military, bought a house, became a full-time student, had brain surgery to remove a fast-growing tumor, which has since left me with vision and cognitive disabilities. Oh, and to top it all off, I have a toddler. My life is hectic, to say the least. I say all of that to say that the meditation piece of the Demon really moved me. I think a lot of us LSAT learners do not take enough ample time to just chill the fuck out, especially when we have a lot going on outside the LSAT. Thank you guys, not only for the Demon and the podcast, but for just being a couple of chill dudes. Are we chill? Sometimes we get a little
I try to be.
animated.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel very at ease watching your lessons and hearing your explanations. I look forward to smashing the LSAT in the future. Thanks to you all! Exclamation point. Wow. Well, first of all, thank you. I'm so glad that you encountered the meditation part of the drilling app. And this was Nathan's idea, I'm pretty sure. And Nathan recorded the meditation piece. And we've heard this several times before.
Yeah, it's funny.
People
like
crying
the features that
using
really
the Demon.
move people are just I don't. That's some random shit that we decided to try. It's not like a grand vision or anything. Just we try things, and if you like them, we keep them, and if you don't like them, we get rid of them. So anyway, thank you, Adriana. It's a very nice note.
Makes me think too of all the development time I've spent on some features, right? It's like my life has been isolated and dedicated away to some feature and no one seems to notice.
Not
and
things that made people
Then Nathan's
cry,
like,
yeah.
oh, do a meditation app. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, that'll take 2 hours. And then we throw it up and then everybody starts crying. Like, okay, all right.
All right. Thank you, Adriana. Next one is from Anonymous. It says, hi, Ben and Nathan. I seek your advice on whether it would be a good idea to stick to only the LSAT and school until December. I am in a really good place financially right now. I want to start grinding for the LSAT to reach my goal of breaking 170 by December, when I plan to take the test and get a full ride scholarship. I already hate this plan because you're deciding in advance when you're going to take the test. You should not do that. You've got 5 months between now and December. Maybe you're going to be ready. Probably you're going to be ready. Hopefully you're going to be ready. but maybe not. And maybe you would be ready sooner, or maybe you won't be ready, in which case you're going to have to take it later. That's one thing I hate about this plan. The other thing I hate about this plan is that you seem to be putting all your eggs in the basket of just one test. Like, I'm going to take it in December, I'm going to get a full ride. And then the third thing that I hate about this is that it sounds like you're planning on applying this cycle, which if you're taking it in December, then you're not following our advice if you apply this cycle. You need to apply next cycle because you need to apply at the beginning. I mean, do you know, Ben, some of the applications are already open. I've started getting some emails about that.
Interesting.
It's August, so applications are open. If anybody's getting scholarship offers, please send them in. I mean, we like to report on the first scholarship offers of the cycle. Last year, they were in early September. Applications are definitely open in early September, and in some schools, they're open in August. If you're taking the December LSAT, you're too late to the game. You need to, you got to show up at the beginning of the cycle.
That means you're applying in January, and you're probably being diluted by the quote early decision deadlines that some schools have in February or even March or April, which is not good.
Your application deadline is, when does your application open? When your application opens, I'm there. I'm going to show up with the kick-ass LSAT score, and you're going to probably want to get me a scholarship offer pretty promptly before all these other schools get me a scholarship offer.
Yeah.
You want them to be bidding on you. When you apply in January, it's the other way around. They've already filled half their class. Anyway, part of this is because I hear logic games are leaving the test in 2023.
Wait, what?
And I want to take the LSAT with logic games because it's the easiest part of the test to master. That's news to Ben Olson.
I mean, I know we had those sample like diagramless questions. Is that
right? They
what
settled out a lawsuit that they're supposed to be researching how to get rid of the logic games because the logic games are discriminatory against blind people, which they're not. We've heard from blind people pretty unequivocally telling us that that's not true, that there are workarounds, that they can figure them out. It's just words. They can get words. So it's not, anyway, we've talked about that a million times on the show. They did test, as Ben mentioned, they tested some weird logic games light kinds of things on the most recent LSAT.
Logic games light. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you use scratch paper?
Right. And then asked you if you use scratch paper, which, so it's clearly that's what they're doing. They're doing their research, you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And maybe the 4-year, I think it was a 4-year thing, like a 4-year period of researching. It seems like they started researching it near the end of that 4-year period.
Okay.
And then, like, you know, maybe they're going to actually, I don't know, who knows? Maybe the logic games do go away in 2023. But you've heard it somewhere, Anonymous, and Ben and I have not heard that. So, I mean, if you have intelligence that the games are really, in fact, leaving in 2023, you should email us, help@thinkinglsat.com.
But even then, they're not leaving. They're just
they're going to just be in a different form.
Changing form, yeah.
Anyway, they go on and say, I know you say not to make this test your life. Still, going ham on LSAT prep this semester would yield a greater reward than picking up a part-time job when I head back to school, where I wouldn't be making much money anyway. Your advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, S. So, okay, so full-time school, should they work or should they study for the LSAT? I mean, I understand the argument. You make more money from LSAT studying than you do from working at the bowling alley on campus like I did. So, sure. What do you think?
Well, my number one goal, and this is your number one goal too. If all these years have taught me,
my number one goals are. Oh, just kidding.
Is get the highest LSAT score you can get. Nothing else matters until that. If you're going to go to law school, but even if you decide not to get to law school or to go to law school, getting the highest score you can get is still your number one goal. Because if you fail at that, then that's a good sign that you shouldn't go. And if you are going to go, then that's what you need first and foremost, no matter how long that takes. And so if that means you have to decide the best way to do that. For most people, that means to work and study at the same time because you can't study all day. But if for whatever reason you feel like you're going to work better, if you can just focus on the LSAT, great. I don't care. Do what you need to do to get the highest score you can get and then apply the next September.
Don't forget our step 0 of this process is get straight A's. You're still an undergrad.
That's true. I forgot about that, but that's because so many people are already done with undergrad, but you're not. So what can
Maybe
you do?
You shouldn't be studying LSAT at all. Maybe you shouldn't be working either. Maybe you should be getting straight A's. Maybe you should be demonstrating to the law schools that you're going to apply to that you're really good at school. And even if you weren't perfect at school earlier in your career, maybe you want to be perfect in your junior, senior year of school so that you can at least make the argument that, hey, I have a 4.0 over my last 3 semesters or whatever it is.
Which is another reason, right, to apply for the following cycle so that you can actually show them all those grades as well, right? If you get a 4.0 or a 4.3 your final semester, well, what good is it if it's also you've already applied, and so they're not going to see that.
Yeah. Take a gap year. Stop thinking about trying to apply this cycle. Don't worry about the logic games going away. You're just cramming in way too many things on too short of a horizon here. Get straight A's, study for the LSAT when you have time, work if you have time, apply in September with the very best LSAT you can get, even if that means you have to take a gap year or 2 or 3.
Yeah, but then you'll be set up for the rest of your career. Keep that in mind.
Want to read this email from Hanyang?
Hi, Ben and Nathan. I've been using the Demon for about 2 weeks now. Thanks to your intuitive methods, I'm already making decent progress. I have a few questions about law school admission. A brief introduction about myself first. I'm an international student who just graduated from Rice University with a BM in piano performance as well as a BA in sports management. I have a cumulative GPA of 3.88 and will be heading off to Yale to pursue a MM degree in piano performance. I'm applying for the 2024 cycle and was wondering the following. Wait, hold on. I'm wondering, why is someone who's so good at piano going to law school? Okay. 1.
Renaissance man or woman. I don't know.
Yep. Number 1, I assume that I'm applying with a relatively unique pair of degrees. Does it give me an edge to apply with less popular majors?
Relatively unique.
Are they unique or not?
That's a phrase that needs to die. We don't use the word unique ever. Unique means one of a kind. Relatively one of a kind would mean not literally, but figuratively, I don't know. It's different. Yeah, it is.
Relatively rare. That might be a better.
Yeah. How about just rare? That is a rare pair of degrees. Absolutely.
Yep.
You kidding me? Piano performance and sports management is already rare.
Yeah.
And now getting also a master's in piano performance. Yeah, it's rare.
It's rare. And I think that it won't hurt you. And it could help you because you'll be different. But at the end of the day, they're going to be more concerned about your LSAT score and your GPA.
Yeah, it's not useful to think about. Thank you for your question. Stop thinking about it. It's irrelevant. You need the best LSAT you can get. All right, what else?
Number 2, I am certain that I will be able to audit classes at Yale Law. Would it be worth it to do so?
Sure.
Do law schools admissions care that I had the experience?
No. I mean, maybe Yale would. Like, you're going to develop a relationship with a Yale law professor.
Sure.
Then yeah.
But the bigger value here is taking a class and seeing if you actually enjoy it, right?
Yeah. Like realizing how awful it is and deciding to just go be an awesome piano performer.
Yeah.
Or piano teacher or music teacher or anything.
Or 100 million other things. Yep.
Yeah. But
3.
Yes, absolutely. Do some auditing. That's great.
Cool. So number 3, should I worry about my graduate GPA or should I spend more time grinding through the LSAT? Obviously, I won't get all Fs in my classes, but if they don't matter nearly as much, I wouldn't force myself to go for a 4.0. Why? My question is, why are you going for this degree at all? How is this degree going to help? How is your master's degree going to help you as an attorney?
Well, and I'll just tell you, attorneys win. It's about winning. That's not some shit that a lawyer says. A lawyer is going to go get a 4.0 because they're enrolled in the thing.
They decided to compete in this event, so they're going to do well in this event. They're also going to do well in the LSAC competition because that's another event that they're going to be competing in and one that's required for admissions. My question is, why are you competing in the master's degree competition?
Yeah, don't do it if you're not going to get a 4.0.
Don't do it if you're going to go to law school. Why are you doing it?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, don't go get that master's because you think it differentiates you for law school admissions. You can already write about your BA or BM. I've never heard of a bachelor's in music, I guess.
I've never
heard of that before in piano performance, but you could already write a personal statement about piano performance, that's probably what you should write your personal statement about, because piano performance, if you're performing at like any kind of a elite level, that's just going to be very impressive because, again, lawyers win. Law schools are looking for winners. You've already demonstrated that you're a winner. Like going and paying for a master's degree has nothing to do with winning. That has to do with being rich.
Really. But back to your point, if you're going to do that competition, do it and win or get out.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, do not do that. Like, what are you kidding me? You're going to put less than perfect grades on an academic record before applying to
an academic institution, including Yale itself. Yeah.
They want to know whether you're good at school. Like they want to know whether you're going to be a star at their school. And if you get a 3.7 in some master's program, they're going to be like, well, probably wealthy, but not like a killer gunner, like not the ruthless kind of winner that is going to be winning big legal battles.
This correspondent concludes, "Thank you! ! I will upgrade to live next month and I look forward to seeing y'all." Likewise.
Thanks, Han Yang. I hope you said your name right. Yeah, see you in class sometime soon, I hope. Come to class sooner rather than later, because like especially me, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong about things. And, like some people hate that, and that's fine. You can go to many other classes with nicer teachers than me. But if you come to my classes and you start talking about things, and I just think you have it wrong, I'm going to give it to you straight. And I'm going to try to get you to stop wasting time worrying about unnecessary shit. And it's very possible that this master's degree is just unnecessary shit that you should not be doing if you're serious about law school. I could be wrong. Yeah. I'm just telling you my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope to see you in class.
Yeah. This next one is from, sent to us from Haley. Haley works for us. She manages Instagram and so forth. This says, "This was sent into us by an Instagram follower to potentially be discussed on one of the podcasts." Smiley face.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet. I've been waiting for it to pop up in my New Yorker magazines. I'm like a couple issues behind always.
Okay.
It's oppressive. Have you ever had a New Yorker subscription?
No.
Oh, they pile up and they're great. I love them, but I've learned now to in the issue that I just had with me on an airplane, I read the pickleball article. I read the mega yachts article, and then I read one about the new electric Volkswagen bus.
So let me guess,
the New Yorker skipped everything else.
Yeah, it's an old style of journalism. It's long form. Is that correct? So these articles
long
are
form
several
features.
Pages.
Oh, there's also fiction. I almost always read the fiction, but this one I got bored with it, so I just gave up on the fiction. I skip all the cartoons. I don't think the cartoons are funny at all. I read Talk of the Town sometimes because it gives you like little vignettes from around New York City, which is just kind of fun to read about the city. And then I'll read the restaurant review every once in a while. Or I read the movie reviews every once in a while. I don't know. It's cool. It's eclectic, just, it's heavily New York focused. Anyway, I haven't gotten to this one yet. We'll talk about it more once I get there, but it's called The Aging Student Debtors of America. And so this is from Instagram. It's a New Yorker story, but the summary says, in 1983, a 52-year-old public school teacher, frustrated by the inequity in her classrooms, enrolled in law school. She borrowed $29,000 in federal loans. Today, she owes $329,309 in student debt. She's now 91 years old.
Oh.
So this is somebody who 40 years later now has 10 times as much as she borrowed. And that's the outcome that we are most afraid of when we warn you against paying for law school. I mean, this poor lady only paid $29,000.
That's not even,
or only borrowed
close.
$29,000. Well, that's like one semester today.
Yeah.
Like you could borrow 10 times that much today.
That might not even be one semester. That might be, I mean, if you're really paying for everything, right? Because you got room and board and
one semester at like a affordable state school. But if we're talking about USC, that's not even one semester of tuition at USC.
Jeez Louise.
Let alone living expenses or fees or books.
Although she must have made some mistakes after that, because to let this debt balloon into this amount is disturbing.
No, but dude, I mean, our system now, we have income-based repayment.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into income-based repayment, you're making payments that are frequently not even enough to service the debt. So the principal keeps growing. And then
the principal's growing on. Oh, geez.
And there are forgiveness programs. But if if you make too much money, fail to work in nonprofit, do any other kind of clerical errors, like marry somebody who makes a little bit too much money and now you no longer qualify for the program anymore. There's various ways that you can that this debt can come back to bite you. And so here's a real lady. And we hear it a lot, don't we, Ben, from like older folks who are going back to school. And it's like, I'm a nurse and this is such a scary thing. These patients, I feel so bad for them. It's so unjust.
They think law school is the solution.
They think them going to law school is going to fix that problem. And the law schools are all too happy to sell that dream, like, oh yeah, of course. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, non-traditional.
We have all kinds of advocacy and the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, who gets paid to do this kind of advocacy? I mean, the reason why
this
they're
kind of
stuck is because nobody gets paid. Yeah, exactly. So there are pro bono programs, but if you're paying for a JD, you're paying for that JD because you think it's going to make you money. Or that's the only sensible reason. I don't know.
Wait, keep reading this. This is shocking to me.
So Americans age 62 and older are the fastest growing demographic of student borrowers. That makes sense. I mean, it's also a really fast growing demographic.
Still,
period.
It's sad that demographic still has debt. You'd expect people by that time to be done, right? Like, oh yeah, I paid that off 10 years ago.
The schools are just like, think about it from the school's perspective now too. They're like, oh, I know for sure you're not going to there's no return on investment here. You're crazy. Definitely like losing on this deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll still just, we'll admit you, and you can borrow all this money and just die with the debt.
They don't care. They got their money. Now it's going to the taxpayer.
Older student debtors are not exceptional cases within the mounting student debt crisis. Their experiences are, in fact, indicative of its hallmark features, Elaine Shermer writes in the New Yorker. Okay, I'll read that. If there's something more in there, I'll report back. You want to try to do like maybe rapid fire on some of these emails? We got a bunch of them, but maybe we can knock them out.
Okay, I'll take this anonymous one. Okay. Hi, Ben and Nathan. I'm currently able to complete 3 reading comp passages with very high accuracy whenever I do a timed section. When I do both drilling and timed sections, I focus on comprehension and accuracy. I know from being a longtime viewer of the podcast that I shouldn't be too worried about the section that I'm not completing, since as my comprehension improves over time, my speed will improve as well. Do you have any advice for how I can review reading comp and improve my comprehension when I'm getting almost every question that I attempt right? I understand the protocol for when I get questions wrong, to ask myself why the right answer is right, why the wrong answer is wrong, why I picked the wrong answer, etc. I also understand that a key to comprehension is to slow down and to read the passage carefully. Are there any other review comprehension related strategies you recommend? Currently, I watch the RC explanation videos for the passages I attempt and review my passages thoroughly. Thank you.
Sounds like you're doing all the right things, Anonymous. I think you just need to figure out ways to dismiss wrong answers more confidently. You need to read answers expecting them to be wrong, and you need to be looking for the nope as quick as you can find it. Sometimes it's in the first phrase. That does mean that you're going to eliminate all 5 every once in a while, but that's okay. You should be eliminating all 5 fairly regularly. I mean, just it shouldn't be infrequent. It should be a thing that pops up pretty readily, that you're like, didn't like any of them. Okay, let me give them one more look. Rather than, oh, I liked 3 of these answers and I'm looking really carefully at all 3 of them. It's like, no, you gotta cut bait on shit that's not working. And that's the way, because you're doing all the other stuff right, it sounds like.
I would add too, and maybe you're already doing this, but if you're doing 3 passages and you're getting them almost entirely correct, then you have every right to go ahead and do that 4th passage when your time is up. And I don't know if you're doing that. I can't tell from your email, but you might as well do that last passage too, because that's probably going to be harder than some of the earlier ones. And you need practice with these harder passages.
Great. Okay, Eric says, when I'm drilling logic games and get all the answers correct, but I take 15 plus minutes, how can I review the game to improve my speed? Or would you recommend simply drilling more games to help with this goal? I usually watch the explanations to see if there are any tricks I missed, but I would appreciate any additional advice that you have.
Yes. Start watching the video, and as soon as you realize that you could have done something differently or better, stop the video right there and redo the game with that piece of information and see what you can do.
Yeah, I would encourage you to try doing that game different ways. Not necessarily try to do it faster, but if you didn't make worlds, make worlds. If you made worlds, try making worlds in a slightly different way. For many games, there's 5 different ways that you could make worlds, and they all work out equally well. And that game took you 15 minutes, but there are probably first steps that you could have taken that would have led to a 6 or 7 minute solution. That's really where you're headed with worlds, if you're ever going to get to the point where you're going to finish the section. And we do think that everybody should eventually be able to finish the section on time in games.
Yeah, I agree with that. The word that stuck out to me here is Eric says, I watch the explanations to see if there are any tricks. Eric, what I want you to do is I want you to get an idea and then act on it, put it into practice, try to do the game differently based on that idea so that you can actually put it into your head through doing.
Cool. All right. Read this one from Marissa.
Hi, Ben and Nathan. Love your podcast and the Demon. I recently listened to the 2 episodes about the LSAT in Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, Revisionist History, and have since been wondering what your thoughts might be on it. This is season 4, episodes 1 and 2, Puzzle Rush and The Tortoise and the Hare. I found it super interesting, but obviously will not be canceling my Demon subscription anytime soon. Thanks. That podcast, we reviewed it a long time ago. It was complete garbage. I don't remember the details, but it was bad.
Malcolm Gladwell, I listened to those. Yes, we did review those episodes years ago when they came out.
Yep.
And I had heard, so I used to love Malcolm Gladwell. I read Blink, I read The Tipping Point, I read whatever other books. He was one of my favorite writers. He's a New Yorker writer sometimes. So, I'll read the Gladwell when it comes up in the New Yorker. Thought he was great.
Yep.
And then I had heard, though, that domain experts hate Malcolm Gladwell. I didn't understand why until he covered my domain. I am an expert in the law school admission test. And when Gladwell covered the law school admission test, he got it wrong in every possible way. He seems to have reached his conclusions before he went out and got evidence. His evidence comes from people who aren't even experts. He interviewed some dudes who live across town in Manhattan, some guys who used to teach for the Princeton Review or something, instead of talking to modern experts about the test. And I thought that those 2 episodes were just awful.
So what does that make us think about all the other things that he's presented on various topics?
Yeah, before you accuse me of, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, I just started reading a new book by Malcolm Gladwell. A friend of mine recommended Talking to Strangers, and I started reading it. I just read a different book by Gladwell. I read the Bomber Mafia, the one about the bombing kind of politics behind bombing that we did in Japan and other places. But I think all I'm saying is take it with a grain of salt. Like,
take it with a
anything that
grain
guy
of salt,
says.
even what you're reading now, because it is interesting. I think the people who have listened to those episodes walk away with an understanding of the LSAT that they think is on solid ground, because Malcolm Gladwell is a very smart guy. He can explain his argument in a way that's persuasive. People are going to hear that and go, shit, that's how this works. And it's like, no, it does not. It's the exact opposite.
He's a provocateur, not a journalist. I mean, he's not doing even-handed reporting. He's deciding what he wants to conclude, and then he's going out and marshaling evidence in favor of that conclusion.
Yep.
He's just not actually learning things. So, I mean, yeah, he's a good writer. He's an entertaining storyteller, but he whiffed like so hard on. I can't listen to that podcast anymore because I can't hear his voice anymore. I can still read him, but he just got it totally wrong, and he says it with 100% conviction.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks, Marissa.
Yep. This next one's from Alex.
Alex says, "Hey, Ben and Nathan, I came across the demon recently, and your strategies have shocked me given my experience with a different tutor. My previous instructor told me that I shouldn't use real practice exams." That's fireable. I mean, that's instantly, you're fired. You're not my LSAT teacher if you're telling me that.
Yep.
And that to train myself in understanding the LSAT, I should create my own logical reasoning and reading comprehension questions instead and answer them accordingly while studying with the games that he provided me.
Wow, that's really bad. I was just talking to Brandon about this morning. I was saying it's possible to write a logic game, but it is so hard to write a logical reasoning question or a reading comp question. A reading comp question, I can't even imagine trying to write that, writing the passage and then coming up with questions. The funny thing here is this tutor is asking him to then turn around and answer his questions that he wrote. Boy, that's going to be a real challenge, isn't it? To answer your own questions. Dumb.
I learned how to diagram, not just on games, but on LR and RC as well. I was instructed to quickly skim the passages in reading comp and then diagram them, first searching for any conditional statements in the passage, writing it down on a piece of paper to remember, including the contrapositive. In fucking reading comp, Ben.
This is weird. This is just bad.
And then writing down how they connect to main points in the passage on the same paper. What? Okay. Pull out conditionals and then try to connect them to the main point?
What?
I started with a diagnostic of 148 and have only been able to move my score up to 150 on his practice exams, which are they even real practice exams? This tutor sucks. This is the worst. I don't know who is this? This is terrible. Do not work with this person. They're getting it wrong in a Gladwellian sort of a way. I mean, they're getting it wrong in every possible way.
It's so strange.
My goal score is a 165, and I hope to pursue a JD-MD.
Oh my God.
Do you think this is possible by the September exam? What? Fire your current tutor. Start taking actual practice tests. Stop worrying about September. Don't register for the test until your practice tests are up where you think they need to be for whatever your goals are. And
do a JD or an MD, not both.
I don't see why you would ever do both. That makes no sense to me. Do you want to be a doctor? Be a doctor. Do you want to be a lawyer? Be a lawyer.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's from Ryan. Go ahead.
Yep, Ryan. Hey, Ben and Nathan. I recently discovered your podcast and have found it very enlightening for my studies. While my only use of the LSAT Demon has come from the podcasts, I am considering transitioning over from my current LSAT prep company to you guys. I have been studying on and off for the past 2 years, my cold diagnostic being a 129, 0 studying, okay, and a 145 with about 2 months of studying. I have now been studying for 2 years, all caps, and I have only managed to come up to an average of 155, With my low GPA of a 3.10, I need the best LSAT score I can possibly get if I want law school to be a realistic option for me. I just have no idea what I'm doing wrong. My study method: take a timed practice test once a week. Blind review and review all wrong questions. Input explanations for my mistakes in a wrong AC journal.
Waste of time.
Yep. I also supplement this with a section from a previous practice test every day.
Wow.
Yeah, you're doing too much. You need to just drill. Chill out and drill, because you can do one question and then you can review our explanation and ask any questions if you have any. You will learn
your
so much
problem,
faster.
Ryan, is that you're not actually understanding anything. You're doing way too much work. You think you're reviewing. You're trying. I mean, you're doing your best, but you're not actually getting it. Like I don't know what you're using for explanations, but those explanations aren't actually registering. You're writing shit in the wrong answer journal. I guarantee that if I picked a random page in your wrong answer journal, there's going to be wrong shit all over that page.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you don't know what you're talking about. You're not authorized to make a wrong answer journal.
Yep.
You need to slow down and do one question at a time and actually understand it to where it clicks in your brain. You don't need to write. You're wasting time writing nonsense in your wrong answer journal. I'm sure of it.
Get a demon-free account and do drilling. Just start drilling. And your job is not to do a section. It's not to do a practice test. It's to do one logical reasoning question or one game or one reading comp passage. And I'm saying or. So do one of those things and then review the heck out of it. If you're still confused about anything, don't take notes. Hit the ask button and ask our ask team what you don't understand.
Focus on the clicks, Ryan. You need to get the clicks where the test makes perfect sense. You're not getting there with your current methods. So you need to switch it up. You need to, if you only do one question today, but it actually clicks, that's a win. That's better than what you've been doing.
Absolutely. And you only did one question. You're not going to be worn out.
Right. All right. 2 more emails. Let's do these. This is from Ellen.
Okay.
Says, I'm writing in about questions regarding the personal statement. On your podcast, you have discussed not accidentally revealing that you are an accommodated test taker through your personal statement. I am legally blind and will be an accommodated test taker. I intend to write about my experience with vision loss, not because it's an obstacle I overcame, but because it is why I want to go to law school. I'm interested in disability rights. Regardless, will disclosing this have a negative impact on how my score is viewed? For reference, my average practice score is 165, but I'm confident I can gain a few more points with additional studying. I'm also wondering if it makes more sense to discuss my vision loss in a diversity statement instead, or if I should touch on it in both my personal statement and my diversity statement. Hoping to get your take on the best way to approach this. Thanks in advance, Ellen.
Well, definitely don't talk about it in both. If you're going to talk about it, it does seem like it would be nice for you to talk about it in your diversity statement and then talk about something where you're winning in your personal statement. My concern is that you're going to focus too much on your aspirations if you put this in your personal statement. I want to become a disability rights attorney. Let's talk about what you've done successfully and show how you're a winner.
Yep. I don't care about your motivations. I care what you have done with those motivations. If you tell me what you've done with those motivations, then it's like, oh, wow, this is a very motivated person. I wonder what motivated her. But when you just tell me about your motivations, it's like, well, okay, so you're legally blind and that makes you interested in disability law, but not every legally blind person is like automatically qualified to work in disability law.
Absolutely. How many people want to go to the Olympics?
Right. It's not interesting. I wanted to play Major League Baseball when I was a kid. I not in any way qualified. And I know the schools sometimes lead you down that path of, well, tell us why you want to go. But that's not what I'm looking for if I read a personal statement. I'm looking for, is this person going to be a killer at my school? And the best way you can convince me that you're going to be a killer at my school is to tell me how you've been a killer at work or in previous academic experiences.
Well, and to be clear, schools are asking for that because they're looking for people to apply.
They
And
just
it's a
want you to
lot.
write a statement.
Yeah.
They want you to feel good about it. That's all they care about. Look, all of their tips, they're 100% of their tips when law schools give tips about personal statements, 100% of their tips are related to patting you on the head, making you feel, yeah, that's good. Yeah, perfect. Do that. More of that.
Send it
Do
in.
it.
Send
Do
it in.
that.
Because
Send it in.
the
Apply
stupider your
today,
statement
now.
is, the easier it is for them to reject you because you just divulged a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
Right? Your ignorance, your naivete, etc.
I would like to think that law schools are going to be like, that's super awesome. We want visually impaired people in our school. I would like to think that. I hope that that is true in real life. Is it? I don't know. I do think that there's a hazard when you disclose this, that they could immediately go legally blind, clearly got extra time on the LSAT.
And do they care though? Because at the end of the day, they still get that 165.
Sure. So, well, but remember, it's two things, right? Dean Z told us.
Yeah.
She's thinking about two things. What's it going to do to my ranking?
And are they going to succeed? They
don't care.
Yeah.
Are you going to succeed? There, they care. The way I understand the ADA, people with disabilities have been discriminated against forever and still are in myriad ways. You have legal protections. They can't ask you if you're disabled. And if you don't disclose that you're disabled at all anywhere in your application, then they have no way of knowing. And I would just worry that they might be like, oh, wow, legally blind student. Yeah, that could be difficult for us. Or legally blind student probably got extra time on the LSAT. That 165 is in the middle of our range, but they probably had extra time. So maybe this person can't actually cut it at our school. I guess I'm not saying don't talk about it, Ellen, because I think that, if we were all better people, then you writing your diversity statement about being legally blind would be nothing but a good thing for you. But I would like to see what your application would look like without ever even mentioning it.
It's an interesting challenge because it would force you to focus on how you're winning at whatever it is that you're winning at. And that itself is probably more valuable than relying on this as a crutch, maybe, right? As like, oh, look, I have this thing I can write about. Yeah, you do. And maybe that's your best statement, but at least try without first.
Especially your personal statement. Like, I would love to see a disability-free version of the personal statement that's just like, no, here's how I have kicked ass. Like, surely, Ellen is planning on going to law school and kicking ass in law school and kicking ass as an attorney, and has nothing to do with her visual impairment, right? It has everything to do with, hey, that shouldn't be a barrier to legal practice. Okay, so it shouldn't be a barrier to legal practice, then why are we even talking about it?
Yep.
I would love to see what it would look like if you could do it without. And then if you can't do it without, or if you think it really would be stronger with it in, then yeah, put it in there. But on a personal statement, I'd rather hear about achievements. All right, want to read this thing from Dante?
Hey guys, I was finishing my application to Texas A&M. I guess a couple of schools are already open. And they asked me to list all the schools I was planning on applying to. When I ran out of characters in their box, it made me wonder if I was going to look bad that I am applying to 42 schools. I'm curious why you decided to disclose all these schools. You don't
Is it an optional question, Dante? If it's an optional question, you don't have to answer it at all.
Don't answer it at all. If it's required, then I don't know. If you're really planning on applying to 42 schools, you can easily put in 10 or 20 and then plan on applying to more later.
It's clearly a negotiation question. Yeah. I don't, negotiation, when they ask a question like that, I don't know, man, they're like daring you to lie to them. And it's kind of like, or just, I don't know, I might just not answer. I certainly wouldn't answer. If the form doesn't make me answer, I wouldn't answer. I'd be like, no, I didn't. Wait, huh? Come again?
Wait, what?
It's like we're negotiating over the price of a car, right?
How many cars are you looking at?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many other places?
Yeah,
what's your budget?
Car dealers do that. They say how long you've been. They do it indirectly. How long you've been in the market? What have you looked at so far?
Yep. What's your budget? What do you want your payment to be? How much is your current payment? What do you do for work?
Yeah.
I mean, they're fishing. It's part of the scholarship negotiation, and it is part of the admission negotiation. I mean, if you tell them that you're applying to 20 schools that are better ranked than them and 20 schools that are worse ranked than them, they have a good reason to just deny you for yield protection. I mean, that's a pretty clear case of where they could do it if they were going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think yield protection is really as much of a thing as people make it out to be. But in the case where you're actually applying to 42 schools, if you tell them that, why wouldn't they yield protect you? I mean, if all schools are situated equally, they have a 2.5% chance of getting you.
Exactly. They're going to feel like their chances are low.
So they'll just deny you because they know it helps with their yield protection, or it helps their yield number. So I just wouldn't tell them. If the form makes you tell them, what's the exact wording of the question?
Yeah, what's it? Well, it's planning. If it's planning.
I had been planning to apply to 42, but then when I read your application, I said, nah, I'm only applying to 2 schools.
And then
that was my plan.
Changed.
It changed immediately. As soon as I hit submit on your application, my plan changed. That's shady, Dante. Don't play their stupid game.
Be LSAT famous. Get on an upcoming show by emailing help at thinkinglsat.com. If you have questions about the LSAT Demon, email help at lsatdemon.com. You can also check out our other podcast, LSAT Demon Daily. That was episode 363 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.